All right. So, just so I don't get hit with copyright infringement or anything, this is not my content. This is on YouTube from the group Rim, and this is just part of one of their songs that I kind of noticed that the symbology in the video here. I mean, we're talking about an upside down youth, right? And we're talking of a broken household. And so here's the song I'd like to share, or just a part of the song, right? Because we can't share the whole song like this. But here we have to realize that dreams do come true when we step out of the box and we step into heavily meditated and we recognize that there's a whole new world out here where things are happening for us, not to us. And the things that are happening for us in our experience, if we recognize them for what they are, they can always be of growth for us, right? So anyway, one of the things that I was wanting to talk about is that right now we're experiencing a lot of crazy things in the world, right? There's this. Let me go here in the shade. Let's try this here. All right. Okay. I don't know. I'm not great at video, but it's a great way to share a message, right? So the world right now, as we know it, is it's in a state of chaos, right? And chaos isn't good or bad. It's just opportunity that exists in all directions. And by me saying that, what I mean is that what we've been doing for a long time isn't working for a lot of people. But if we recognize a pathway that has not been advertised into a certain way of living, then there's a good chance that we can recognize options that are available to us that easily solve the problems that we currently face. And I'm going to give you a couple little hints into this, but I expect for you to do your own research, because you shouldn't ever just believe what someone somewhere else says. But if it makes sense, it's worth at least looking into, right? So I recognize that ever since I was born, I've been being taught something by people who wanted to make money off me. And so I'm like, well, wait a minute. All right. So what if there's things that we need to seek instead of what has been taught? Are we going to have only knowledge that's been taught, or are we also going to have knowledge that we've sought? And one of those things I recognized is that people are we're the only species on the planet. The humans, we're the only species on the planet that pay somebody somewhere else to exist on almost every level. And so we're working our life away to try to make the pay every day to live a life a certain way that's been advertised to us by idols on television programming, broadcasted over media. Did you know that media is the Greek goddess of illusion, right? And so by creating a certain illusion, by sharing an idea all over and repeating it many times and having other people repeat it, it gives it a certain level of power that people acquiesce to, right? Everybody else is doing it, so I might as well too. So, one thing we have to recognize is in this chaos is opportunity for us to create what we'd like to see. There's tons of resources available. There's tons of space available. And by the amount of time that people waste spending on television or video games or watching sports, obviously time is in abundance. And all great empires, oh, exalting somebody somewhere else empires, they've used bread and circus to keep the masses engaged in things that don't matter, so that the things that matter don't get done. Well, I've had some time to focus on what matters to me. And to me, I like to be a responsible person, so I want to hand off anything that I can in better condition than I received it. If I borrow somebody's tool, I like to try to return it back in the same condition or better. If I have received this planet as a gift for me just being here, right? I get to walk around here and go swim in the oceans or swim in the rivers, just like you do. This is a place for all of us. And we can coexist. And we can create things that don't involve servitude and slavery. I think we can agree on a few basic rules. Don't hit and don't steal. Right? That's pretty basic. I learned that in kindergarten. And when people were hitting me and stealing from me, I learned in kindergarten by the second day that if you flatten the bully's face with your fists, they quit being a bully. And then I get to keep what I have, and I'm not getting picked on all day. Right? But we have people running around with costumes and badges and the authority because somebody somewhere else said so to throw you in a cage even when you haven't harmed anyone. Just if you've broken a rule that somebody somewhere else made up. Even if it violates your natural rights, your human rights, your inalienable rights. The enforcement class is so ignorant that they don't even know what your rights are. So how are they going to know if they're enforcing a law that violates those rights? I thought the sheriffs were our last line of defense. They're supposed to be the constitutionally minded peacekeepers of every county. But then I got pulled over on a private road in my vehicle I own, right? And he accused me of stealing it because I didn't have the license plates that he thought I should have on it. And I informed him that there are farm plates that you can get that are just a little tab that just show that I can occasionally use this vehicle on the roads for commerce. And he's like, "Oh, you're one of them constitutionalists, aren't you?" I said, "You're supposed to be, aren't you? Shouldn't you know this?" And we had actually a pretty decent conversation. And I drove away without being beaten up and dragged out of my car like he had initially threatened. He's like, "You're lucky we're not on a public road." But he didn't care about the Supreme Court. And he didn't care about the Constitution. He cared about trying to be the big man. And he wasn't. If he didn't have that badge on, if he wasn't in that position of authority, I would have flattened his nose like I would have flattened any bully. But then they would have sent legions of armed people after me. And, it just doesn't end up really, really very good. And then I would have looked like the bad guy, right? Even though he's the one filing false charges and false claims. He's the one threatening violence. He was the one initiating the encounter, right? Anyways, don't hit and don't steal. Even if somebody gives you a gun and a badge and a costume and orders to do it. What if we had just a main principle of do no harm and take no shit? If I don't do any harm to you, why should I have to take any shit from you, right? That's pretty basic stuff, right? But what we've done is we've hired somebody somewhere else. Some people have chose to hire somebody somewhere else to rule over everyone and push their will upon them by force. Well, I'll tell you what, if I was king of the world, I would rule by voluntarism. I would say that, well, it's a big enough job for me to be me, and so I'm going to assume that it's a big enough job for you to be you. And if I make some suggestions that you like, you should participate in that. And if I have a stupid idea, then you should ignore it, because I don't have any power over you. We're all equal, right? A king is a title, not an entitlement to be better than somebody else. I'm the king of me. I don't want to be the king of anybody else. This is already a big enough job, you know? But I want to control my destiny. And I like where it's been going. But I've had to live away from the cities and away from normal to be able to achieve it. And then I still get the occasional person trying to force their will upon me. But here I am. I'm still here. Anyway, there's things that we can be doing. Some of the most basic things that promote freedom in the event of an economic or a collapse of a civilization, right? If what is working, or if what is currently in place isn't working, eventually it's going to fail, right? But if we have things in place that will work and that naturally align with how nature works locally, right? Everyone, everywhere has the ball of fire in the sky coming out every day, for the most part, being kind of shaded by chemicals sometimes instead of trees. But that's another thing, that once we stop supporting certain things, that other things just stop happening too. You know, it's like if we eat poorly, we're going to support diabetes or being overweight. If we don't exercise enough, we're going to suffer atrophy or nerve damage. You know, we're going to, there's a natural cause and effect that's always happening, dependent upon what we do is what is creating our experience, right? And if we support controlling somebody else, we're also going to be controlled. But if we support the freedom of others to do and choose as they will for them, we celebrate and appreciate, and we'll all be experiencing freedom. Let this 4th of July be a reminder what freedom is, right? Are you really experiencing freedom? Or have we been manipulated and shifted in a way that, if you really, truly, honestly look at life, can you say that you're free? Like, share, and subscribe. Please, just if you like the message, share it with others, because a simple thought heard out loud can shift the course of humanity. And when everyone everywhere is doing a little bit, a lot gets done. Thanks for watching.